So this is Tortilla. I've been looking into Tortilla the last couple days. Tortilla is it's Moodle. It's just a rebranded version of Moodle with some additional features added to it, but the vast majority of everything, and that's just standard Moodle. Um, my goal with this application that I set up, this works through Tortilla, was just try and create a really brief session and go through the process of an admin adding a therapist and then that therapist being assigned to the student or the patient and the patient then going through a couple sessions. And I had tried to make some certain requirements to it, like for example, if an admin enrolls a patient and that patient is assigned to a therapist, the therapist will get a notification that there's a new patient, so they can go and assign that patient to themselves. Or that when a patient completes a section, that the therapist is notified that they completed that section. So those are the kind of requirements that I'd set out to go through. So now we're going to kind of go through what actually I ran into, and you'll get to see firsthand what the user experience and stuff is like. Um, Long story short, I do not recommend we use this. I think this is a bad solution for what we're going for, and I do not think that we will be happy with this. I don't think we're going to get a delivery that we're satisfied with, and I think it's going to take us as long or longer to get to a delivery with this simply because Tortilla is a black box to me. I don't know Moodle or Tortilla, so it's very difficult for me to figure out the infrastructure and how things are tied together here. And Moodle and Tortilla, they're not big systems in the world, so finding another developer that is experienced in Moodle or Tortilla to bring in that can help is going to be very difficult. But anyway, to go ahead with the demo here, I just logged in as an administrator. This would be somebody within Enigma, Daniela, Shauna, Zenya, etc. So this is the view that they're greeted with when they first enter. So let's say that they want to add a new therapist that's just joined the team. What they're going to have to do is they're going to come down here under site administration, and they're going to select users. You'll also notice there's another users under administration. This won't get you where you're going. It's just confusing and difficult and a bad user experience that's there. But you go here, and then we go to accounts, and then we go to a browse list of users. So you have to know this buried option here. Remember where that is, which is a bad user experience in my opinion again. You'll see I have my admin user, which is I'm currently logged in. I have these 4 users that I've created earlier, kind of running through and testing this. And the system won't let me permanently delete them. They just sit here doing this, waiting for me to restore them, which I don't like personally. But anyway, we're going to add a new user. And let's see. Give them a username, a password. You can have the system automatically generate a password and send to their email, but I don't want to have to check an email and wait for that to come in to go through and show this. So I'm just going to set it for you. And let's see. Okay, so with the therapist, that's all we're going to have to do. We're going to create that user. And there you go. You see John Wayne's now a user. So the next thing I have to do now as this administrator is I have to actually assign this therapist to certain courses. If they're not assigned to the courses, they can't see the courses, they can't add patients to the courses, they can't do anything. So you'll see here I've created 2 courses, an introduction and then a health anxiety assessment. So I'm going to go through, I want this therapist to be able to manage both of these things. I'm going to click on that. I'm then going to go to course administration, or no, I'm sorry, under administration, I'm going to click permissions. And nope. It is. Sorry. Oh, users. I go to users, then I go to enrolled users. And you'll see no users are currently enrolled in this. I'm going to click enroll a user. I'm going to choose John Wayne. Oops, I screwed that up. I'm going to add him. I accidentally added him as a learner, but I can change that. So you see him, he sees a learner. Let's get rid of that. And then we're going to make him an editing trainer, which makes him a trainer is their word for a teacher or a therapist in our case. And because he's editing, he has a lot more permissions. So okay, I'm done with that, and I have to go back to courses. I have to go to the health anxiety assessment, and I have to do this all again. With 2 courses, it's not a huge deal, but I mean, as you can imagine, as we start to get multiple tracks and stuff, this is going to become much more cumbersome, time-consuming, frustrating, etc. But okay, now John Wayne's been added to both of these. So I'm going to log out and I'm going to go into John Wayne. I could add a new user as a admin, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to do it as a therapist, or potentially this would be the login for a call center employee as well. Would have an editing trainer designation most likely. Okay, so our therapists, they're going to log in, they're going to see this view. They now, if they go to my courses, they're going to see the 2 courses that they've been enrolled in, and they have some privileges here. From here, actually they do not have the ability to add students as a trainer, so I thought they did. So apparently only admins can add users, so the call center people have to be admins. Hold on one second, I'm going to switch back over. Okay, I've logged back in as admin user and gone back to the users page. So this would be the call center person, would be the admin, or whoever's doing this. So they're going to add a new user. This is going to be a student. So we're going to name him, and same process as before. Okay, but because he's a patient, the one difference is under other fields, there's an insurance ID. I can expose this more nicely. It's buried here. This is just how Moodle Tortilla displays the additional fields that you try and add to a user field or a user account, buried under other fields. So whoever's doing this intake needs to get their insurance information, verify that, and then once they've done that, they can add this here. It's just an open text field and say, hey, this is the Regents member. Okay, so they've created this user, and now I'm going to log back out and log in as the therapist. Okay, I've logged in as John Wayne, the therapist, clicking on his courses, so we're going to go under induction, and then under induction I should see course administration, users, enrolled users. So again, he needs to know the buried path. He sees himself enlisted here, and he can now enroll Peter Parker as a learner into this course. I only want to load Peter Parker into this course, and I'm not going to go back and do health anxiety yet, because if I do that, Peter Parker would see both health anxiety and induction and could complete these in any order he wants. To control his order, I have to only assign introduction right now. So now that I've assigned him to introduction, I can log out and I can log in as Peter Parker. You'll notice that at no point was that therapist notified. I didn't get an email or anything like that that you didn't see. But they were never notified that a new patient was added. They just had to manually due diligence, go in, check, look for a patient, or preferably the call center's going to have to tell them, hey, there's a patient, you need to grab them. Here's his username. Go sign him up for your courses and watch him. But anyway, now as the patient, I've logged in as Peter Parker. Again, I did not get any notification that I had an account created. I didn't get a notification that, well, I could send the password actually through the email. I just didn't do that. So they could get a notification that account was created. They would log in for the first time. Hopefully, they've already been assigned to their first course so that when they get in, they can click on My Learning. They can also click on My Courses. We'll get them here. Kind of difficult to figure out. There's a lot of options and a lot of stuff on this first home page to overwhelm the user. Again, that's really kind of a bad user experience, that they're just landing here and don't really have any instruction of, hey, where do I go? I just happen to know. They go into My Learning and don't worry about any of these four options, just click My Learning. And they'll see the courses that they've enrolled in or been enrolled in. So I want to go through and I want to do the introduction course. One thing we can re-theme this thing a little bit, but to some extent, I mean, this stuff's still going to be over here. We're still going to have this menu. We might be able to hide some of the menu options, but this is stuff that I don't know how to do. It's going to take research, and it's going to take quite a bit more time to do simple things like, I mean, something like kind of menu items should be really easy and simple, and would be in our own controlled system, but in this it might be significant. So anyway, I started this course and I get an error immediately. I always get this error. I don't know why I get this error. I haven't been able to figure that out. And that's another problem with something like Moodle. It's a closed box. I don't really understand it, so it becomes a lot more difficult to debug these things. I mean, I clicked on this error earlier and it just said this page is blank. So it's really unclear. If you Google stuff, there's not really a lot of support or documentation for Moodle or anything that's going to help me. But anyway, I click continue, and for some reason, hey, it worked. It's magic. I don't know. Anyway, this is just some plain text. It's Latin. Ignore it. But so this would be their introduction, a welcome letter. This is talking about Enigma. They have to click continue here. It's part of Moodle. I can't keep them on the same page. So then we would have terms and conditions here. This would be the form of consent. So we have that information there, and then I can do a yes, no here. Ideally, they would just have a single box that they have to check, and by checking that box, they're saying yes. There's no reason they should have to say no, because they can't go forward with a no. But again, Tortilla Moodle, it doesn't give you that option, so I have to do two checkboxes here, which is a bad user experience, and it's not ideal. The other problem is I click no here, and I click submit, and it gives me a really ugly error that says you must agree to the terms and conditions, but it hides that option now. I mean, it kind of buries that. I had to look to find it. And there's this continue button. Well, if I click continue, congratulations, end of lesson reached. I wanted to go back, so I had to do the button. It didn't do that. Give me a score of 0 out of 1. And then, anyway they're going to look at it, they're going to see this page. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to go back and say yes. So hold on one second. Okay, so we're back here. This time we're going to say yes. And again, this button, it's not centered. If you didn't notice that, it's ugly. Stuff like that may be difficult to fix, might be easy. I really don't know. It's, I don't know the system. And stuff like that makes me really nervous. If we were controlling our system, I know exactly how long it would take to fix that issue, and it would take about 5 seconds. So, anything more than, a minute to me seems like a crazy waste of time. So that stuff always makes me nervous. Anyway, they complete this lesson, and ideally I wanted, hey, they complete this lesson, let's take them directly into the assessment. Because there's, a series of steps they need to take before they even get to their first real session. Unfortunately, the system doesn't let me do that. It forces to send them to, hey, congratulations. It shows them the score, a grade 0 out of 0, and lets them return and view grades. I can't hide these things. I can't control what's viewed, what's displayed here. This is all Moodle, and this is just the workflow and what this is going to look like that we have to deal with. We can skin it, we can change the font sizes and colors, but this text in this page is still going to exist the way it does. So anyway, this user, hey, they've completed this lesson. Ideally, at this point, the teacher would be notified, hey, patient X, Peter Parker, completed this lesson, you need to go ahead and assign them the next lesson. Well, unfortunately, Moodle doesn't let me do that with lessons. I can do it with quizzes, which is the next thing in the assessment, but I can't do it with a lesson, which is what this would be. So again, one of the really frustrating issues with Moodle and by extension Tortilla. So at this point now, as a therapist, I again just have to be doing due diligence and checking in to see, has my patient completed? Can I assign them the next one? And until the therapist has done this, the patient can't move on and can't do the next step, which would be the assessment in this case. So that's really, really frustrating to me. Potentially, the patient can reach out to their therapist then and say, "Hey, I finished," assigning the next thing, but they shouldn't have to do that. So now, as a therapist, I have to come in. I have to go to the introduction course because I don't know if they've completed it or not at this point, and I have to go to reports. And now I can see Peter Parker. They completed this 100%. Yay! This guy went and he did it. And I now can go back. Oops, I could actually do it from right there. But anyway, I go to my courses and I go to health anxiety, and I come back down, course administration, users, enrolled users, enroll a user, Peter Parker as a learner. Now I have to reach out to Peter Parker by email, phone, IM, whatever, say, hey, Peter Parker, log in. You have the next course. You can finally move on after you spent 10 seconds doing the first one, 11 seconds, I think I said. Um, you can finally move on to the next stage. So Peter Parker, he logs back in now. He's been told he can come back, and he goes back to his learning. And hey, he's got a new course. He can still see introduction here. Well, let me retake it because I've told him he can only do it once. But still, I mean, the fact that it's there and not like there's no indication that's completed or anything like that. Again, bad user experience. So now we go to the health anxiety assessment. This is another page that's purely Moodle. Can't really control what this says. I can't make this page not exist. I can't really do much of anything with this page other than let it be. It's part of our workflow. Woohoo! Thank you, Moodle. So now as the user, I'm going to click Attempt Quiz Now. And I'll tell you a secret, this is as far as I've gotten because when I click Attempt Quiz Now, nothing happens. There's no errors thrown. I've looked at my developer tools to see what's going on here, and it's an issue within the Moodle core application, which then I have to go through and chase down through thousands of lines of code that I didn't write, that I've never touched, that I've never seen. I don't really know the effects of what I'm doing and how to make the changes within their system the way that it's intended. So it really just becomes a big mess that, fixing something like this, like at this point, I just want them to be able to take their stupid quiz. And I say it's a stupid quiz because I've become frustrated at this point with this tool. I'm sorry. But anyway, they try and do their quiz, and, this, if I was in our own program, would be a very quick fix. Most likely, I would know the system. I would understand the bug because I would have written the bug, or written the error output, I should say. So it just, you end up in these situations and you end up investing a lot of time into little unknowns and little issues like this. And the payoff of all that is this user experience that we're seeing here with these pages like this that we can't cut out, with this really confusing layout with all sorts of menu. I mean, I'm a patient at this point, and this is what I'm seeing over here. I have administration. I have, all this navigation on the left, the navigation which is layered on the top, and, I mean, certifications program, my goals, none of this applies to me, none of this needs to be delivered to me, and it's just confusing me and making this a unpleasant user experience. And this, just to get to this point that you've seen here, it took me all day, and, I mean, this is nowhere. I mean, we couldn't release with this. We couldn't even release a beta with this at the point that it's at. Just saying that this was all we wanted. We wanted to just get them through a health anxiety assessment, and we were happy. That was it. Like, we wouldn't even be able to get past that at this point, and that should be something that's very quick with a tool like this. And because of the way we want to set up these courses, because of the way we want to set up our workflow, and the fact that I go back to a comment that was in one of the documents I read that should feel like a session with a therapist, not a school classroom experience. I mean, this could not feel more like a classroom experience. It does not feel like a nice, relaxing therapy session. If anything, I find this very stressful and the opposite of calming and therapeutic. And I can't imagine that a frustrated patient, particularly somebody who's not technology competent, is going to enjoy this user experience and be willing to continue with it and make it through even the intro assessments, let alone 2 sessions that we need them to get through for us to count them as completing. So I think we can deliver faster and we can deliver significantly better with a custom implementation um, than we can with these pre-designed tools. Moodle is just, it's designed for classrooms, and it's designed for teachers that are just releasing, an assignment after a class at one point, and they're just having all of these assignments stored in here, and then they're going and they're creating a group with students that's class 10:30 a.m. Tuesdays, and when the class gets through their material, they assign that group to that lesson, and then they complete it, and they go in when the due date is there and they check it. And that's kind of the workflow that's meant to happen, and that just is not a workflow that in any way works for us. And it's one that is so far off from where we're looking to go that the customization needed for it is extensive. And frankly, we're going to end up with a product that we're not going to be happy with, and we're going to be looking to do a custom implementation to get what we really wanted anyway. Um, I was hoping this might work as something for the beta, but it's just, I don't see it working even as a quick pilot or a beta program from what I'm seeing with it. So I really can't recommend we go with this. I recommend we commit to building an in-house solution as long as we're kind of following the plan that I started to set out of just nailing down the minimum core features and focusing on getting those as deliverables. I think we can hit some pretty tight deadlines, and I think um, that we can deliver something a lot better than we could with this. So I'll leave you at that. But this is what I've run into looking at this. So I hope that helps.